Okay, well, we're back. I have returned from vacation, even though I was made to do a lot of hiking and biking, which is probably not in my nature, but I did end up enjoying it actually once I kind of got into it. Anyways, on that note, we're going to be looking at Scarlet Monastery in the alpha version today and maybe sprinkle in a little bit of Andorhal if there's still time afterwards. So on that note, let us go to Scarlet Monastery real quick, as I failed to actually hit the right keys on my keyboard. And so the thing is that you can't really, like, a lot of the Scarlet map ports aren't really working, a lot of the teleport codes aren't working, but you can teleport to Old Scarlet Monastery, which, yeah, leaves you with a sky cell in the middle of nowhere. We don't actually know where we are either on the map. And you can walk up here, which is the entrance to the Scarlet Monastery as we know it, but actually it's the exit to yeah, a dungeon remnant, I suppose. I'm not quite sure. And once you go outside here, then you're at the usual entrance, even though these two entrances, or exits for that matter, are blocked. We just can't see it. They're blocked by gates. So I'm going to show that off right now, actually. So you can see once you go outside, you can't go in anymore. And even though we can't see the door on the other side, the same is absolutely true for that one. Let me just show that off for you real quick. And yeah, I don't know why this is called Old Scarlet Monastery, but you know, since this is also the Old Scarlet Monastery, it makes me wonder if there is an even older Scarlet Monastery. Anyways, to get in, we have to again use the teleport code that ports us inside Old Scarlet Monastery. Then leave the gate real quick here, the dungeon. And we're back to go inside, and now we can get to the actual, you know, meat of the video, what everybody probably came to see. And yeah, we're just going to take a quick stroll around and I'll, you know, comment on some things that are apparent to me or that I notice. First thing right off the bat is that the lighting is a lot more cathedral-y, if you will. And I'm not sure if that's, you know, because this is not yet using the Tirisfal tint on it. I feel like in the 1.12 version, everything here is a lot darker. In general, in the alpha version, I have to say, though, that, you know, the lights are a lot brighter. I remember they were talking about instituting or, you know, implementing a survival profession, which would have had to play around light sources and campfires, etc. So there was a whole survival aspect planned at some point in development. And I think the, you know, stark differences in lighting in the alpha are maybe a remnant of that, or maybe, you know, something technically wasn't implemented yet. Anyways, as we enter here, we are actually already in the dungeon, even though in the 1.12 version, as you know, there are 4 entrances to the separate wings of the dungeon here, which is not the case in this version, as you can see. So here would be the entrance to the graveyard, here would be the entrance to the cathedral, over here would be the entrance to the armory, and obviously here would be the entrance to the library as we know it. However, in this case, the 2 side entrances don't exist. They're propped up by statues, and whether you go through the left or the right archway that is actually accessible doesn't matter. As you can see here, it leads right into another hallway full of mobs. Those mobs being the ones that we know from library, the gallants, and I think the adepts, we also know them from library, even though I'm not actually 100% sure on that. They might be called differently actually in the 1.12 version, but don't quote me on that. And yeah, this is, as you can see, pretty much copy-paste library, although once again, there is a little bit of a different lighting going on here. And while it does make sense that, you know, it's cloudy overhead since the Scarlet Monastery is located in Tirisfal, I kind of dig this vibe, honestly. It seems a little bit more appropriate for the Scarlet Crusade, just as in Tyr's Hand, even though it's in the Eastern Plagues. I'm not sure if you get a tint like that, actually. At least in the alpha, you don't yet, so I'm not sure about the 1.12 version, so actually not going to comment on that too much. Here is Houndsmaster Loxy. If you're wondering if these guys drop anything, the bosses, they don't. I tried earlier off screen. But yeah, this is Loxy. He already has his tracking hounds in his little booth, if you will. And as we go further along, this is still sort of library assets that have been reused. However, the first difference obviously is apparent here. In the library in 1.12, you would turn left and go down the hallway towards the library. But here, obviously, we take a right turn and we are immediately met with Scarlet Guardsmen, Scarlet Defenders, and another Scarlet Defender, actually. So that is, you know, mobs from the armory. So we are progressing quite a lot faster as you can see here. And around the next bend is actually Herod, the Scarlet Champion, the one and only boss from Scarlet Monastery Armory. But yeah, there he is. He doesn't have a weapon yet. He is wearing the Scarlet set, kind of. I mean, there are no shoulders to it, and I think the pants look different as well as the chest. They just use the standard chainmail, the red one that you can also get from like a level 9 drop, gray mail. But yeah, this one looks, a lot better, I guess. I mean, a bit fewer pixels maybe on the items themselves, but yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Herod's shoulder, the iconic item, and the Raging Berserker's helmet not being worn here. And this is obviously the room of Herod in the armory, even though it has this entrance that we just came from. And then if we walk up the stairs, you will notice that the plaques underneath each of the heroes of the Scarlet Crusade are non-existent yet, so maybe there was no lore for them available yet. This obviously being, I think, the Admiral that, plays a role in the whole Scarlet, I even forgot what it's called, the Wrath of the Lich King arc of the Scarlet Onslaught, I think, Westwind or whatever is his name, I think. Anyways, as we move on up past Herod, there is another Scarlet Guardsman and some Myrmidons, so still armory mobs for that matter. And now we can either go left or right, depending. First, we're going to explore the left side, which is clearly the torture chamber from the graveyard area, which is the area of the first boss, Interrogator Vicious, actually, he's here. But his victim, the guy that gives you the quest to kill the two folks on the beach in, Alterac Hill, what is it called, Alterac Mountains, towards Silver Pine Lake, the old couple is not in yet, so there would be a undead here that has a quest for Horde players. And this is just a torture chamber. Again, a bit more light in here. Kind of weird lighting, though, I won't lie, but I mean, yeah, it's, at least it's kind of bright. You can see what's what. And here we have a hallway that is, I believe, bigger than the one that we would be, exiting out of after the torture chamber in Graveyard. And following down that hallway, there are still some Graveyard Scarlet mobs. But afterwards, there is quite a surprise, actually. There are a bunch of unfettered spirits here in the courtyard. And in the back, there is Blood Mage Thalnos. So, this is the final boss of Scarlet Monastery Graveyard, obviously, without his graveyard and kind of like right next to the Scarlet. So I'm not sure what the idea behind this was, to be honest. But yeah, I guess this would have probably been expanded upon, or maybe that's also one of the reasons why they scrapped it, because they just realized that they needed some more space. There is something to be said about this dungeon in the sense that it is a bigger dungeon, just being, one dungeon, but the other 4 in total are obviously a lot bigger. So this would have been a shorter dungeon crawl just in this one, even though, individually it's a bit, bigger, obviously. So this is the library part that we're in now. Diviners, as we know them from just before the Arcanist, and also some chaplains not wearing their signature robes, but instead wearing some pants, and yeah, looks a bit clowny. Looks a bit more like Carnival, I guess, but fair enough. And also Carnivalists are the monks, which I'm not sure if there were no shaved heads available yet, if the bald option wasn't in the game yet, or if they were actually supposed to. Oh, I know why it is, actually. I think it's because they're wearing a headpiece, this headband here, and whenever you're wearing a helmet or whatever, this is what your hair underneath the helmet looks like, so it doesn't clip through. And maybe that interaction wasn't really with the headbands wasn't really complete yet, or they just didn't have any bald heads available. Either way, I found that quite curious indeed. And yeah, the monks also wearing a little bit of a different apparel, so glad that got changed because it too looks a bit unfinished. And right after that, we are actually not entering the lair of the Arcanist. Nope, we are, in fact, turning right into the cathedral. So this is already the final area that we know from Scarlet Monastery Cathedral, with Scarlet Champions and Scarlet Wizards and all that good stuff, such as Scarlet Centurions. They look a little bit different as well. And these are obviously the Scarlet Champions. You can see them here. I'm not sure if much has changed about them. I think their shoulders may have changed and maybe some other stuff. And yeah, so this is basically it already. You can see here is Scarlet Commander Mograine actually being gray-haired, even though he is, you know, the Ashbringer's son. So he would have not been that old yet, I think, in the lore. So I don't know. Maybe they just didn't think of that. And here we have High Inquisitor Whitemane in her signature, well, room. I guess I never looked up here in 1.12, but it's cool that there are these arches above, and she has a different model, as you can see. Not the one we've all come to love, but yeah, she's back here in her crypt, and I did try the fight. She does not run out to revive him, so I don't think there are any mechanics implemented yet. Off to the left here are the two booths with the monks. We all know them, so that's not too interesting, but interestingly enough, if we run over here real quick, we will see Inquisitor Fairbanks in his tomb. So he was already in the game, looking as always slick. And yeah, so that's pretty much the whole dungeon. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I kind of like the vibe. I kind of like how seamlessly kind of enter the cathedral, and there's not this huge courtyard out front. It's pretty cool. It's a grand entrance here, I would say. But other than that, you know, not too much standing out. I mean, there are just parts still missing, such as the graveyard outside area, and everything is kind of like all together. But I really like the entrance to Herod and then going up the steps and, you know, being in here. So it would have made for an interesting dungeon for sure, but I do understand why they split them up into 4 parts. And to be honest, I didn't pay too much attention, but I think from the levels, it's quite even, so the levels don't rise as much as they would obviously in the 4 separate dungeons. I think it's just 34 to 36 pretty much. Yeah, so with that, you know, being said, this is the look at the Old Scarlet Monastery in the alpha version, and yeah, it's a pity we can't experience that, because even if we were playing the alpha server, then obviously we could never enter here, because first it's closed off, and secondly 25 is the max level on the actual playable PvE server that has pathing. So with that being said, yeah, I'm gonna go over to Andorhal real quick and show that off as well, just a quick run through. So yeah, I'll meet you there. All right, here we are. We are outside Andorhal as promised, and this is from the, I guess, northern side, coming from the main road going through the Western Plague Lands towards Tirisfal and the Eastern Plague Lands. And right off the bat, you can see that there is a lot of debris here, sort of remnants of an old battle, maybe remnants of the Warcraft 3 campaign mission. And there are huge gates here that you're probably not used to seeing if you've played 1.12. And obviously, these are the skeletal acolytes. They have a little bit of a different... Oh, there's actually a fight erupting here with some Scarlet Invoker that just spawned. That's pretty interesting that that's already, you know, sort of scripted. So yeah, they have a different model. The skeletal caster model is not in the game yet, I don't think. And there is a skeletal warlord not in his tower, but out on the street. These are the guys that are usually in every tower, preventing you from planting the torches for the Alliance quest, or, you know, I think it's just an Alliance quest anyways, or at least thinking they are preventing you. Obviously, I think you can kind of like game it by standing here and planting the torch and not being in line of sight. So maybe that's something to consider if you haven't done that yet. And yeah, so there are 2 towers here. And well, I won't lie, I'm not super familiar with the whole layout of Andorhal in 1.12. Usually, especially since I'm playing Warrior most of the time, you know, you're kind of just riding through it, hoping for the best, hoping you won't get dazed. But yeah, these flesh golems, they are there in the 1.12 version, and I think we'll just go through it, you know, sort of clockwise, starting from the northern gate. So this is obviously Araj or Arai, I don't know, the summoner, the lich that you can kill and that you swoop, whose phylactery you swoop up. So yeah, that's using a different model, the same model as the Blood Mage in Scarlet Monastery, as a matter of fact. This is the town hall. I'm not sure what's inside here. Okay, some weird stuff happening. A skeletal executioner. I don't think that's a rare. I think that's just one of the other skeleton mobs that use the two-hander and have the, naked skeleton model. Sorry, this is a bit weird. Sometimes that's what happens if you enter a building in the alpha. Right across from the town hall, there is actually a lumber mill, which is absolutely unheard of, utterly outrageous actually for Andorhal. I don't think that is there anywhere. However, those silos, we remember them from the Chromie quest, and there might be a barn in that part of Andorhal also. I'll give it that. Though I don't remember the blacksmith that is also here near the town square with a skeletal warlord inside, actually. So I think this location of the skeletal warlord corresponds pretty well with the location of the tower for one of the torches. Sorry. So maybe this was planned to be marking important buildings such as the blacksmith, or that crossroads that we entered from might also be an important vantage point that they wanted marked. I don't know, maybe the quest doesn't even exist yet. Maybe I'm just making stuff up here. There's another barn. So obviously Andorhal must have been quite a grand city, and you really do get that idea in this version of the game. So that has been stripped down a little bit. I wonder why, honestly, but don't worry, I did notice that apparently unique named monstrosity out there, abomination, sorry. But I just wanted to see what's in here, but there's nothing in here. So let's go and kill command this boy, and he doesn't actually drop anything. So maybe he's a rare, maybe not. They wouldn't really be marked in this version anyways, but some rares do drop stuff. I guess there's no loot table for Western Plaguelands mobs in the alpha. That's my only explanation for this. So yeah, this is obviously the northeastern part of Underhall. You can see it here. Also, you can see it on the map in the top right. And that's where normally I think there is a field here outside this barn. So there is a lot more stuff here, just debris really. But yeah, I think, I like the atmosphere of this. It's clear that this town was being fought over for a while. Still is, actually, with the Scarlet Patrols. So let's just quickly waddle past Arai, the Lich again, and check out the rest of the town. So yeah, this is reminding me of Chromie's Inn, at least the model, though it's not in the same location. I doubt that Chromie is going to be here. No, she is not. So this is just an inn with a lonesome ghoul inside. And I'm just checking inside this inn because I was checking for Chromie earlier already and I couldn't find her anywhere. But I did actually leave out that house. So yeah, I don't think I have to give you a house tour of everything. But there's a third barn here, a bunch more structures that are actually still standing. Obviously, in the 1.12 version, a lot of those buildings are just burnt down, and you kind of crawl through them, collecting the watches for Chromie's quest. But yeah, this is roughly where Chromie would normally stay, though I don't think she's going to be in the game at all. No, I don't think so. So this is normally where, the inn that she's found in the inn model would be situated, roughly about here. But yeah, that's pretty much Underhall. So we got that out of the way, I guess. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I would love to see you again soon. I will be streaming on Sunday, and maybe spontaneously tomorrow or the day after. We will see. If I have time, then I will absolutely do that, but my schedule is a little bit wonky, so I can't really announce it way in advance. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll have a great day or evening, and I hope to see you again soon.